Oh boy. Okay. Well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Knicks on Top. Man. Um, well, I guess the first thing I could say is before I get into everything that I want to get into, it feels good to be back. Uh I missed the last two games. The last video that I recorded was when we beat the Portland Trailblazers. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the last time the New York Knicks got themselves a win. And listen, there's nothing much to say. I don't really gotta go to the box score. It's embarrassing right now. It really is. There's nothing to justify the performance that we're watching from the New York Knicks. Um, Day in and day out, it's just constant, no emotion. The body language looks off. I mean, guys aren't hustling. Um, the transition defense is disgusting. And you sit there and you wonder, like, what's going on in this locker room? What is being said in this locker room? Are they having a lot of disagreements with Mike Brown? Is Mike Brown the problem? Are they holding is Cat the problem? Are they holding him accountable? So a lot of the times, you're looking at the bench and you're seeing everybody looks lifeless. Everybody looks lifeless. I mean, you know, they came into this game fully healthy, right? For them, yeah, fully healthy because you got Shamit back, and then it was announced today that Jalen Brunson would be back and Josh Hart would be back. And shout out to Jalen Brunson making his third All Star appearance, second time as a starter, but three straight All Star appearances in a row representing the New York Knicks, and it's well deserved. He's done nothing but deserve the opportunity to go out there and put on that uniform and represent the city of New York in the All Star game. The issue for me has to stem from just them not being able to consistently perform well. And you have this game, the next three games this week. You have this game, and then you have to play Brooklyn on Wednesday. Then when you play Brooklyn on Wednesday, then I believe on Friday, I think it's Friday, you play the 76ers in Philly. To me, and personally to me, I would have preferred them to go ahead and take this game. Obviously, you want them to take any game as much as possible, right? But it looked like, you came back from the road trip, right? And you come into this game, you're like, all right, we got our starters back. Everybody's fully healthy. This is a Dallas Mavericks team who's 4-15 on the road. They're 4-15 on the road. They really suck on the road. Mind you, they have a lot of guys out, right? This is an injury plague Dallas Mavericks team. They don't have a lot. They don't have Anthony Davis. They don't have PJ Washington. They do not have a lot. Yet, they come in the garden and they blow you out by 17 points. This team was kicking our ass so bad that we were down 30 to an injury plague Dallas Mavericks team. That's how bad it was. And it wasn't like the refs were playing a factor into this game. There was no excuse for what we saw tonight on the court. Honestly, there was absolutely no excuse for what we saw on the court tonight. And I've for those of you that have you know seen the last two games in the West, right? We got slapped by 8-30 at the time. It was like what? It was like 10-30 Sacramento Kings team where Precious Achua probably had this game circled and basically had a career game against us. You go to Golden State, you play a little bit better, but in that fourth quarter, you collapse. and Draymond Green is out here making Karl Anthony Towns look like a bitch to a certain extent. And he does some foul shit, which he always does, and he grabs Karl Anthony Towns' ankle, and they're going back and forth, but nobody's backing him up. Nobody's backing him up. Nobody is having his back. Nobody's stepping up, right? After the game, when the game is over and we lose to Golden State, you see Mike Brown having a kumbaya with everybody on Golden State. Respectfully so, because he used to coach, he used to be an assistant coach for the Golden State Warriors. I get that. But you have to send a message as a coach, and you can't accept that shit. We got Josh Hart doing the same thing. Josh Hart being on the court, kumbaya with Draymond Green, as if your teammate didn't just get his ankle snatched and an injury could have happened. I know it's not that serious, but I'm just saying in terms of having your teammates back, you didn't see none of that, and it was nasty. It was nasty. But obviously, you would think, okay, we got Jalen back, right? Cool. Back home. Let's try to figure this out. And for what? And for what? For what? For what? For what did that happen? Right? They come home, they get punked by the Suns. When I would say punked, right? They gave themselves a little bit of a better effort against the Suns. But you still get outplayed, you still get outscored the entire way through. At least in the second half, right? Because at one point they led like 46-42 in the second quarter before the Suns came back and took over the game once again. But the way that young team in the Phoenix Suns, led by a veteran Devin Booker, played you is how the Knicks should be playing every game. You're talking about hustling on both ends of the court, right? Pressuring up their defense, not letting anybody get by, right? Making it uncomfortable for our players to try to get a bucket. And we're just letting Phoenix do whatever they want. So then you come into tonight where it's like, okay, you know, tonight should have been a game where they basically said, "Yo, we're gonna put a stop to it right now." Why? Because everybody's healthy. There is no excuse. Let's go in tonight and let's take care of a team that we can beat. Again, like I said before, coming into tonight's game, the Dallas Mavericks were 4-15 on the road, and you let this young Dallas Mavericks team punk you out. Max Christie was lights out from three. At one point in the game, he was like 8 for 10. But again, this is a team that it's not even that they it's not even that this team is good. This Knicks team doesn't want it. They don't want it. And again, you got to think to yourself, is this the limit for this Knicks team at this point? I personally, to me, and again, sports is sports. You're gonna have your moments. You're gonna have your you're gonna have your moments. You're gonna have your up and downs in certain times, right? The most important thing is, how do you come back from that adversity, right? That's the most important thing in terms of how you get back from everything that goes on, right? The problem is this: nobody is picking each other up. The only thing that I saw, and what I want to do is I want to play it for you guys because I think it's very important. It's not going to be talked about because I think Knicks fans are kind of fed up at this point, and it's like, yo, Jalen Brunson should have been doing this like way before. But this is what a captain should be doing. And I want to play a video that I posted, that was posted from a different account. But I want to show you guys exactly what I saw today, and I think it's very important that, again, somebody, at least somebody, is showing some type of care. And of course, he's the captain. He obviously needs to show that, right? He needs to go ahead and he needs to to show that, yo, I gotta be the leader here. I gotta take over or whatever. But I just want to show you guys, just if you watch my screen right here, Jalen Brunson just talking to this team, like, yo, like, at the end of the day, this isn't us. Like, we gotta show what we're made of. We gotta show that, you know, we're better than this. And this it starts with Carl Anthony Towns. It starts hell, it starts with Brunson, right? And again, Brunson, you look at his box score tonight. Brunson really didn't have that bad of a game. Could have been a little bit better, but you know, 22 points. He was 9 of 24, 1 of 4 from three, um, a minus 15 on point differential. So again, he could have had a much better game today. I know nobody's really gonna give him an excuse. He's coming back or whatever. Cool. It's neither here or there. But at the same time, you got to be able to trust everybody. And like I said, it's not only does it start with Jalen Brunson, but it starts with Cat. It starts with McHale. It starts with OG, right? It starts with Mitchell Robinson, who, by the way, Mitchell Robinson had an exceptional game today. The only person that showed up with hustle and effort. But it starts with them. It starts with them, setting the tone early. Cat didn't get his first points to the second quarter of the damn game. How are you gonna set the tone like that? And this is where we start holding guys accountable. This is where we start saying to ourselves, dude, if we're not gonna hold each other accountable in these situations, what's the point of you know playing then? What is the point of playing for a championship? And that's all that it matters, right? That's all that it matters. You are supposed to win the game that you need to win. Basketball is basketball, sports is sports, and I completely understand that. I know that, right? At the end of the day, you'll have one of those games where you're like, damn, we should have won, but we did, we didn't win. Okay, cool. We shrug our shoulders, we let it go by. Cool. That's cool, right? But at the same time, this is a game where the Knicks needed to be like, yo, everybody's healthy, fresh start, clean slate. Let's get this damn win. Let's bum rush this team. So that way today, right? January 19th, this could be our starter point. And we can go in and we can take it from there game by game because listen, the schedule is not going to get any easier. The schedule is not going to get any easier, and that's where the real thing comes in, right? By January, I've always said this in the offseason in the summer. By January, we should know where this team is at. We should know where this team is at. So to have this issue in January is it's a real concern. I'm not panicking because again, it takes guys to to just flip a switch and all of a sudden this team gets back to where they were in early December. But just watching the way that they're playing on the court, the energy, the effort, um, just it's a concern. It's a real concern. And I go back to where I started. Is there a locker room concern? Is there a situation where just guys are not clicking? Does it have to do with Mike Brown? Is the message that Mike Brown is putting out there, is his message not getting through to these guys? Because again, the no matter what it is, right? Like it's the same thing with football in a way, right? A team could be a coach away. You bring in a fresh new face in a team that could be up and down. All of a sudden, you bring in a coach that knows what he's doing, and all of a sudden, this team is playing right for this coach. They're playing much better basketball. They're winning more games. The offense is there. The defense is there. The culture is there. Everything is clicking. That you don't really see that with Mike Brown right now. You see, I saw that with him in December when we won the NBA Cup. All of a sudden it's like now you start to question like do are they really playing for this dude? Like is this who they like is it something to where they were used to Tom Thibodeau. And I'm the one guy that brings Tom Thibodeau a lot because there is a lot of comparison. And when I've brought him up, if you guys have watched my videos, when I've brought him up, I have brought him up in the compare and contrast situation with what Mike Brown is doing with this team now and what Tom Thibodeau was doing with this team last year. The Knicks took a big risk, right? And I've spoke about this many times before, where they had to give up and break up a team that kind of was finding their momentum in a way. You had you had Dante DiVincenzo, right? Who looked comfortable. He was playing with his boys and Mikhail and JB, right? All Villanova brothers. And then you had Julius Randle, who understood Tibbs and noticed that he was thriving in a way under a Tom Thibodeau system. Now, obviously, 6 years or 5 years to say, right? Because I was expecting Tom Thibodeau to be here in his sixth year, considering the fact that he just got us in Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years as a franchise, right? Um, I was expecting him to get one more shot. If by any chance we would have lost in the first or second round in his sixth year after making the Eastern Conference Finals, then Tom Thibodeau would have been fired. And to me, that would have been justifiable. But because of that, because they decided, yo, we're gonna make some changes and we're gonna take Tom Thibodeau out of his position, and maybe that might be something that right now none of these guys like. And here's the thing. Personally, I don't think that I'm just putting that out there as probably one of the reasons why they could be struggling. But that wasn't the case a month ago when we were winning games and when we won the NBA Cup. And I always go back to the NBA Cup because that's when everything was gelling together. So that could be a thing. It also could be just a fact that, listen, these guys are trying to play around Cat and they're just not getting it. See, people want to put the blame on Mike Brown. People want to put the blame on the fact that he doesn't do anything. And listen, this is the worst that this team has looked defensively. Mike Brown has been criticized for not having good defensive teams. I mean, that was one of the things he was criticized when he was the head coach of the Sacramento Kings. They gelled very well offensively, but they could never get it going defensively. And you had a first defensive guard in De'Aaron Fox that was leading your way. But that was the question mark with Mike Brown. So now you're kind of looking at it in the standpoint of, this is the worst defensively that the Knicks have ever looked. Is this a flaw of Mike Brown where he can't get it right? And that's where the question thing. But to me, I don't. People always say like that. This is a Cat issue. This is a player issue. It's not a player issue or a Cat issue. It's a team issue. Just watch the way that they're playing offense. And again, if you want to put that on Mike Brown to a certain extent, I completely understand, because you're drawing offensive schemes in the huddle for time in timeouts. You're adjusting to the game plan of what Dallas puts out there on the court. The problem is that there is no consistent offense coming from this team. You see, if our offense was in top the tip top shape form, although the defense was still being questioned, you could kind of make up for that with your offense, right? The problem is that their defense sucks, and it sucked all year, and then your offense sucks. So you really can't find no path of consistency to try to build on, to try to get your team to win and do something. And that's the issue, right? That's where we kind of that's where we struggle the most. So in a sense, there's no way, there's no path to be like, all right, we're struggling here, but let's stick to this, because if we can stick to this and get this going over here in this path defensively, we got to fix that as we build confidence from our offense. That's the problem. They don't have any of that. They don't have not one source of offense right now to capitalize on. They have no sense of urgency right now. They don't have any consistency from any single one of these players, right? You talk about Mikal Bridges, for example. Let's Talk about Mikal Bridges, right? Mikal Bridges had 7 points. He was 3 of 10 from the field. He was 1 of 4 from three. Then 3 rebounds, 3 assists. He was a negative 21 in point differential. He had the highest negative point differential on the team. All the starters went negative tonight. Like that to me, that pisses me off. That really, really does piss me off. Because we traded, and I hate bringing this up, but we traded 5 first round picks for this dude. Five. For a guy who's supposed to be a difference maker on both ends of the court. And he's not. He's just not. And it's time to come into the realization that, dude, like, we need something, we need some more from you. OG Anunoby at times does give us some momentum, and sometimes he doesn't. But it can't just be OG. Again, in that game against the Phoenix Suns, OG was trying. His box score didn't look pretty. That's 100% fact. His box score did not look pretty. But at the same time, he seemed to be the only one that was literally giving us any momentum at all. So, when you look at Mikal Bridges and you're like, dude, when are we gonna get this consistency from you? We can't be waiting forever. We can't. I The one thing that I wish Mike Brown would do with Mikal Bridges is play him point forward. Is play him at point forward. Have Jalen Brunson play off ball and let Brunson stand behind the wing, or let him stand behind the corner and let the ball come to him. Let Bridges dictate the offense. Let him get involved in that way. Let him get involved in that way where he's bringing up the ball, he's facilitating, and not only facilitating, but at times Mikal Bridges could break a defender down and get to his mid range. We've seen it before. We've seen it a lot last year when Jalen Brunson was out. We saw it in the first 2 games, and I said this on Eddie's live when we did the post game for the Suns. We've seen it in the first 2 games of the season against the Cleveland Cavaliers and against the Boston Celtics. So why not kind of go back to that in a way? We got to change something. We can't be going out the same way we've been going out, because it's naturally disgusting. It really is. It really is. And at some point, like I said, at what point does Mike Brown start making those adjustments? At what point does Mike Brown say, "Hey, maybe I should put Deuce in the starting lineup and put Josh Hart back on the bench"? When do we get to that? And I know people are gonna be like, "Yo, all right, Bunk, like you're kind of bugging." I get Josh Hart's been playing very well with the starters. I completely understand that, but I do remember when Hart was down and they put Deuce as our shooting guard in the starting lineup. We won a game, right? I know it's one game, but we won a game, correct? So at some point, it's like, where do we where do we make those type of adjustments? This whole cat situation, it did not cat. Well, we talk about cat all you want, but it's the same shit with cat all the time. It's the same shit with cat. It's not, and before I get to this tweet, I want to show you guys another tweet where I kind of quote tweeted the person that put that tweet up. I was like, yes, finally somebody understands it. Um, so Rit Holtzman says the usage stuff is nonsense in my opinion. The reason Cat is having a down year is because he's struggling on layups and he's struggling on threes. Absolutely. And I quote Tito by saying, "Boom, it has nothing to do with Mike Brown or Jalen Brunson when it comes to the inconsistencies or struggles of Cat. He does it to himself, and that's 100% fact. He does it to himself. And then what does he do when he doesn't get a call? He complains to the ref. He does the most stupidest fouls you could possibly think of. It's disgusting. And at some point, like I said, when do you hold Karl Anthony Towns accountable? Who in that locker room is going to tell Karl Anthony Towns, yo, you have to step it up. You gotta stop. You gotta play smarter. Nobody. Nobody's gonna tell him that. Why? Because he's Karl Anthony Towns. And that's just the honest fact. That's just the honest fact. There's nobody that's gonna tell Cat, yo, Cat, I gotta talk to you for a second, bro. These fouls that you've been committing where we don't need them needs to stop. You gotta be better. You have to be better. So I don't know, man. I really don't know. But like I said, there's only so much you could do. And again, when I go back, when I show you guys some of these posts again, I did when I did my post game post, 4 game losing streak. They're 2-9 in their last 7 games, 7-11 in their last 18 games. Trade deadline is 17 days away. Here's the problem with the trade deadline. You got a couple candidates that have been talked about in terms of what the Knicks could get that could bring not only a spark defensively, but that could show you something offensively in terms of energy, effort, being able to put the ball on the floor and go get a basket when they need to. The first one that I've heard is Jeremy Sohan from the San Antonio Spurs. That's a guy that's a very good defender that can shoot the ball at a so rate, but again, that is not afraid to put the ball on the floor and go get you a bucket. The next one from the New Orleans Pelicans, Jose Alvarado, right? A guy with heart, a guy with hustle. Yeah, he's not a great scorer. He doesn't give you that much points on offense, but he is a good defender. Somebody that can bring the energy that we need on defense that we're lacking right now. And then your third option would be from the New Orleans Pelicans again, Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy, a solid defender, a guy that could shoot the ball very well, a guy that could go ahead and score, play off 2 feet, a guy that spaces the floor very well. So three of those options that the Knicks could possibly go get and say, yo, we gotta get somebody not only for the bench that's gonna give us something from the bench, but that is gonna that one that I could put in with the starters at times, depending on the flow of the game, and that can give us a spark. Now I know what you guys are thinking, yeah, Bunk, but what about in the trade deadline if they trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo? The problem with Giannis Antetokounmpo is that they can't trade for him because if Giannis doesn't say he wants out, it doesn't matter what the Knicks do. It doesn't matter what the Bucks do. He has a no trade clause in his contract. So Giannis physically has to act. He has to ask out of Milwaukee. If Giannis doesn't ask out from Milwaukee, you can't trade for him. So that's why when it comes to this whole Giannis conversation, I don't entertain it because he needs to ask for a trade in order for a trade to actually happen. So, the options that the three options with Jose Alvarado, with Jeremy Sohan, or with Trey Murphy, the third, those can happen 100% if the Knicks are looking to upgrade on the bench, but also uh get a player that brings it on both sides and brings energy and effort, and that doesn't quit. But right now we don't have anybody on that team right now that is showing that type of effort that those guys bring. So I don't know what they need to do. I seriously don't know what they need to do. Like I said, I've offered, maybe like I said, they go Mikhail Point and have Jalen Brunson play off ball and make that a change. Um, maybe you have Deuce in the starting lineup. Maybe you play Kolik a little more. I know Kolik has been struggling a little bit, but his minutes kind of diminished a little bit just because of Josh Hart. Um, those are the things that I would have to consider if I'm Mike Brown in terms of just changes to try to spark something. But you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. What I do is I do want to get to some stats. So we look at the box score, and I'll put that up as we go. Just give me 1 second. Put that up as we go. So here we go. All right. So as you see here, right here, you got OG Ananobi, 9 points, 3 of 8 from the field, 1 of 4 from three. He was a minus 12 point differential. Then you have Carl Anthony Towns, 22 points, 9 of 19 from the field, 2 of 5 from three, um, 18 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 turnovers. Right there. I mean, you listen, no matter the turnovers are gonna kill you. The turnovers are gonna kill you at the end of the day. You need to be better at protecting the basketball if you're a second option on this team. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you're the second option on this team, you need to be better. You need to take care of that basketball. Five turnovers are inexcusable for a second option on this team. 4 assists, like I mentioned, 13 defensive rebounds out of the 18 that he got. He was a minus 15 on the court. Absolutely disgusting. Josh Hart in his return, 8 points, 3 of 6 from the field, 2 of 5 from three, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 turnovers. It's a negative 16. So, a solid game in his return. Mikal Bridges, we already spoke about it. 7 points, 3 of 10 from the field, 1 of 4 from three, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover. So he took care of the basketball, but he was a negative 21 in point differential and was never a scoring option for this team. He was nowhere to be found. Really couldn't hit shit tonight. And then obviously Jalen Brunson in his return, 22 points, 9 of 14. I mean 9 of 24, 1 of 4 from three, perfect from the free throw line. 6 assists. Try to share the rock as much as he could. But when you're down like that, I don't blame Jalen Brunson for kind of ball hogging in a way. I really don't. I really don't. I'm gonna be honest with you because it's like, dude, we need to get points up on the board. Yeah, y'all motherfuckers ain't making shots. So at the end of the day, it's like where I need to be the source of offense. I need to be the captain and put this team on my back and try to get us closer. And he did as much as he could. He did as much as he could, and I don't blame him. Uh, you look at the bench, and we got nothing from the bench. I mean, the only one that was great tonight, and he was a minus 11 in point differential, and I feel bad for Mitch because if you guys kind of saw his tweets last night, he was kind of going through it. He had people that were close to him in his camp kind of check him. Uh, he was kind of just going through it, and to kind of see this effort after that, you just at the end of the day, these guys, play the game of basketball because they love it, and it supports their family, but these are real human beings at the end of the day, and they still go through real life shit. And I think we got to take that into consideration. No matter what we say, you could boo, you could cheer. I mean, the Knicks got booed about 3 to 4 times tonight, and I think the fans really sent them a message, which I completely 100% agree with them. But in terms of that, you keep it that way. You don't say nothing derogatory. You don't say nothing disrespectful. These guys still mentally go through it. And Mitchell Robinson showed a little bit of weakness. And when I say weakness, I mean not weakness like it's a bad thing. Like he showed emotion. So the fact that he was able to come tonight and really kind of show effort, like I said, 12 points, he was 6 of 8 from the field, 14 rebounds, and try to be one of the anchors to get this team back in it, and couldn't really get it. But again, he was the only one from the bench that really did anything. There was nothing from the bench tonight. And when you don't have nothing from your bench, that's very inconsistent at so many times. You're not gonna win games like that. You're not. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. We'll see. We'll see what goes on. I do want to play. Do want to read some stuff from Mike Brown before I get to the team stats. Shout out to James Edwards, who's a senior writer for the Knicks that works for the Athletic. Um, so a little couple things that he pointed out of what Mike Brown was saying. Bottom line, we got to lock in. So if you guys see it right here, bottom line, we got to lock in and do our job. He said there was nothing to say at the halftime except lock in and do your job. Saved himself from an F bomb. Okay. Pointed out that the Mavs only scored 39 points in the second half, which we already it's embarrassing. to a team, like I said, that's injury prone, that's 4-15, now 5-15 on the road, and they come in here and they punk you like that when you know you're a better team than them. So it's fucking disgusting. Mike Brown was asked if he has an idea of what buttons to push to get this team going. He said, I quote, I got ideas. Will you share? I got some ideas. Okay. Well, listen, he don't got to share. He wants to keep the privacy within him and his teammates. I mean, and his players and his team. No, I respect that. Not everybody has to know what goes on in the media. Obviously, the fact that he's there, he's talking, he's giving his opinion. But sometimes you want to keep things private, and I'm sure he's having those conversations with those guys. Whether those guys care or not, is remain to be seen. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. He also, let me see, Jalen Brunson, when he went to Jalen Brunson, I quote, I'd be booing us too straight up. Said the soul searching should have started weeks ago, but now must start ASAP. Exactly. So again, he knows that there's no room for panic, but it is a concern. And as a captain, it's on him to try to lead that soul searching that he talked about, and get everybody together. And whether that's pulling guys like Mikhail and OG to the side and be like, "Yo, I need you guys to be better." If it's like Cat and it's be like, "Yo, I need my Robin." You're my second option on this team right now. I'm trying. I need you to lead with me. Let's get this fucking team on the road and let's do what we need to do. So you know. Nothing really much. That would be it. Let me see. Let me see real quick. Maybe they have some video of some of the guys talking. Here's Mike Brown talking. I'll play some of the videos for you guys here.
Bottom line is we got to lock in. We got to do our job for 48 minutes. They scored 75 points in the first half. And at halftime, we usually do the clips and talk about technical X's and O's and all that, crap that coaches do and teams do. There was nothing to be said at halftime except for lock in and do your, do your job. They scored 28 points in the paint in the first half without a post-up player. Total three things. 28 points in the paint. We got to put our chest on the ball and stop the ball from getting downhill into the paint, which we did in the second half. They had 16 points in the paint. They had 27 fast break points in the first half. 27. On track for 54. They had 7 in the second half. And the last thing that I talked about with them, their hot guys were 9 for 11, I think, in the first half from the three-point line. The two guys that we labeled hot. And we know how to close out the hot guys. We know how to play hot guys. They were 9 for 11 in the first half. And most of those threes were open, or we left our feet before they shot the ball, and then they were open. In the second half, they only got 6 off. They were 3 for 6. The 3 areas that we talked about, no X's and O's. Just do your job. Play with physicality and do your job early. The whole second half, they scored 39 points. The second quarter, they scored 44 points. Again, no adjustments, just go do your job. So it's within our guys. But we all have to do our job for 48 minutes. And it didn't happen tonight. It was evident. Doesn't matter who's in the uniform in front of you. You got to do your job.
Absolutely. I mean, I the only thing that I disagree with, I mean, he said no adjustments. I definitely would have made an adjustment. Just try to come up. I would have started, Deuce in the second half. And I know he struggled, but you give that defensive presence, you give a young guy that's willing to push the ball up the floor and try to see if that would work. Just try to see if that would work. If it doesn't, you tried. You tried, but try to see if it would work. Um, just try to see if something would work, right? So let's go on to the next one. Can't really hear that question. Um,
Not sure.
okay, so the question was why the Knicks didn't put up a strong defensive effort in the first half versus Dallas? Not sure. Well, I mean, listen, that's a conversation that is probably going to be spoken about in the locker room. Honestly, that's a conversation that's probably going to be spoken about with the guys in the locker room. And at the end of the day, listen, Mike Brown seems like a guy that is upfront with a lot of his players, and sometimes players like that, sometimes players don't. And maybe that's what it is. Because you see a lot of the times, even when players make a mistake on the court, what does Mike Brown do? He pulls them to the side, like, "Yo, I need you to do this. I need you to do that." Something Tibbs never did, right? This is why I can respect Mike Brown, holding guys accountable. Now, like I said, is his message getting through with these guys? And I mean, you have to put that into question because they just seem to have no effort. And we got, like you said, you got to wonder. Like I said, you got to wonder: does that play? Is that because of who's behind the wheel? Who's driving everything? Who's making the decisions? Who's putting the stuff out there for the Knicks to try to be successful when they're not right now? Let's move on to the next one.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating me. It's frustrating every person in that locker room. And we all can't get it back by thinking we're going to go score or go get this many shots. We have to embrace doing the little things. And right now, we're not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Excuse me, guys. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what it is. That's what it is at the end of the day. It's frustrating to everybody, right? It's frustrating to everybody. And he talks about the little things, right? Getting back on defense, right? Making the extra pass, getting the ball movement going, spacing the floor out, doing again little things like that gets you back into the flow of things. And that's the problem is that again the motto that always goes defense wins championships, and that's what it is. Defense wins championships. Right now, this team looks like they don't. Excuse me. This team looks like they don't even want to play defense, and it just comes down to that. It just comes down to that. Just look at the body language on the court, and you'll see it. Let's keep it going.
That is like, yeah, I got some idea. No, that is, I got some idea what I'm gonna do.
So it goes back to what James Edwards, the quote that he said. But here he is talking about the Bulls at MSG.
No, I mean, and I've answered this before. Really, I'm okay with the Bulls. I mean, if we're playing crappy, better word than the F word that I used earlier. But if we're playing crappy, boo. I mean, if I was in the stands, I'd probably boo too. You pay hard money to come to the game, and this is a form of entertainment for the fans. They know good basketball, they know bad basketball, and we didn't play good basketball in the first half. And so, I mean, I'm okay with the boos.
I mean, it's hard for me to disagree with him here, honestly. Like and it's not even that it's entertaining entertainment. There, the thing with the Garden is that there's people there that just go watch basketball to go watch basketball. You know, they can care less about what this team is doing when they're done. You know, not everybody, not every single one of them in that arena is watching the Knicks on a daily basis like you or me, right? And I bring me for an example because I do content on this team, right? I watch every game from the first quarter, all 48 minutes. I watch every game. I may miss due to obligations or whatever, but if I don't have those obligations and I'm stuck to and I got the time to do it, I'm watching all 48 minutes because I want to see the possessions, the effort, how this team is gelling, and I care about this team. I'm invested in this team, so there are people that are booing just because it's like, oh man, I paid my hard-earned money to see a good basketball game or to see a Knicks win, and that's it. But there are also people that are booing, and they're like, dude, I watched this game. Like this is my life. This is all I do is watch Knicks basketball. So the effort that they're showing for the people that invest their time, their money, the constant content that they're putting out there, and the expectations that are out there. You coming off of Eastern Conference Finals the year prior, and now with the expectations of us probably winning the East. We all had this team coming out of the Eastern Conference Finals as Eastern Conference champions, and they're not looking like that. So that's it. They 100% have a right to boo, and I'm glad that although people may not care, like I've always say, because there's certain people that are like, it's whatever, bro. You're saying that to save face. At the end of the day, he's right. He's right. Can't say nothing bad about that. But I know Josh is showing here that Josh Hart's gonna say something. I want to hear what he got to say.
Um, I don't know why. What's that? I think we have to have a better sense of urgency. We have to, um, all of us, figure out what we need to do to get ready. And we got to go out there and execute.
Like you guys brought in the second half.
Absolutely. Everything that Josh is saying, just, it's better. It's I rather them just fucking show
Does this team talk as a group about this slide? And maybe if not, is it time?
No, we talked a little bit, but I think we all need to do, some soul searching, some looking in the mirror and figuring out what we're going to do individually, what we're going to do as a team, what our identity is. Because right now when we're playing embarrassing basketball, we're not executing on offense and defensively. We've been abysmal. We've really been, terrible defensively all year. At some point, we have to look in the mirror and realize that no one out here is feeling sorry for us. We have enough. We've shown that and have to figure out, how to get that sense of urgency.
Does this team talk as a group about this slide? And maybe if not, is it time?
No, we talked a little bit, but
And that's the thing is like, he starts off by saying we talk a little bit, but I don't think they talk enough. I don't think they talk enough. Like I don't think that you like, for example, him saying that and me saying I don't think they talk enough. If you look at the video that I played in the beginning of this live, Jalen Brunson in that timeout where in that second quarter with 7 minutes left, Jalen Brunson's trying to hype everybody up. Jalen Brunson's trying to get everybody to, like, yo, we can't be playing like this. Straight up. We cannot be playing like this. Jalen Brunson's trying to wake everybody up. I don't think they have moments like that. You think everybody should just to themselves at times, and that's the problem. And that's an issue for me. I want to be wrong. Not everything needs to be captured on camera. Not everything needs to be talked about in that sense. But when you're going through this stretch, knowing that you're way better than what you're showing, I don't think they talk about it enough, and that could be a major issue when that's what they need to do. So let's keep it going. All right. It's hard again.
That you would pick up where you left off. I mean, winning the conference finals, bringing the same team back essentially. Do you think that was part of what's happening? I don't think we took it for granted. But we have to make sure we have a professional mindset. Everything we got to come in and be locked in. We can't go into practice and have things fixed over time. We can't come out not execute ATO. We can't do anything. At the end of the day, that's the guys that have the jersey on, and I think we have to go out there with a sense of urgency. At this point, 40 games in, normally you don't put too much into struggles because it's high and low. But at this point, we have to play desperate because that's what we are right now. This season,
it's a desperate time right now. It's a desperate time right now, but nobody has an answer for the lack of defense that they played in that first quarter, man. Honestly, it's a struggle. It's a struggle right now, and yeah, man. At some point, you just gotta ask yourself, like, when are we gonna get better? When are we gonna get better? When are we going to step it up defensively? Like, it's just an honest fact. It's just an honest fact. Sick and tired of having to watch these games and saying to myself, man, this team will get it, and they never do. They never do. And you gotta hold you guys accountable for that. You really do. Again, read a couple of the box scores from the players. I'm gonna read some of the team stats. They were 38 of 39 from the field. That's 40%. They were 9 to 21, 9 to 31 from three. They were horrible from three. That's 29%. They were 12 of 20 from the free throw line, 60%. Could have been a little bit better. They missed some key free throws in the second half that could have given them a chance. 53 rebounds, 22 assists, 5 blocks, 52 points in the paint. Second 11 second chance points, 10 steals. That first quarter, disaster. 10 to 27 from the field, 0 and 9 from three turnovers. And again, they had let me see how many turnovers. They had 17, like I said, 17 turnovers as a team, but they had three turnovers. Then 11 of 26 from the field, 3 of 7 from three, five turnovers. Just straight up nasty. 7 of 24 in the third quarter from the field, 3 of 7 from three, three turnovers. 10 of 18. Like the fourth quarter might have been their best one. 10 of 18 from the field, 3 of 8 from three. So they just couldn't really get it from three. But their fourth quarter might have been obviously was their best one. And then obviously we talk about the box score today. You know, everybody was a negative. The only one that was a positive with Deuce McBride, he was a plus three. That's it. That is it. But everybody has to. It starts with Mike Brown having to relay the message the best way that he can, holding guys accountable, letting them know, like, listen, we can't be playing like this. We can't. We can't. I need Cat to help Brunson now. I know Brunson really didn't play well today, but I need Cat to help fucking Brunson now, man. Cat at one point had a solid momentum. All of a sudden, he scores a basket, feels hot, wants to take another fucking three, kid gets a step back in the corner and shoots the three with his leg out, and the ball goes in, right? And when the referee blows the whistle, I thought it was an and one. Turns out it was a flagrant foul because he kicked his leg out and hit Norman Powell in the groin, right? Then I think he went up. I think in another possession, he went up for a layup, didn't get the foul call, and went to the other side of the court and fouled the dude in transition. Like, it's something with him. It's something with him. He can never have a basketball game where it's just straight clean and he's going off. It's always something with him. I need him to step up. I need Mikal Bridges to play like a third option on this team. I need Mikal Bridges to play like he was worth giving up those 5 first-round picks. I really do. I'm sick and tired of having to cut Mikal Bridges some slack. And not only is that on Mikal Bridges, but that's on Mike Brown. Again, not that my option's any better, but playing point forward for Mikal Bridges and having Jalen Brunson play off ball where Jalen Brunson doesn't need the ball. He can still fucking score when he needs to. Let him facilitate. Let him get comfortable. Let the guys move and cut off ball so he can so that way he can facilitate. And listen, if you're gonna set him a pick and roll at the top of the key, do it. So then that way, listen, if he gets a mid-ranger, he gets a mid-ranger. If he passes out to the next man because the other defender comes up and leaves his man to cover Mikal at times, let him facilitate. But at least it is something different, and it's something for refreshing to see if that's what's gonna help this team to you know to get over the hump. But the inconsistencies on offense as a team, not being able to move the ball well, not sharing the rock like that, everybody's just trying to stat pad and get their own stats. The transition defense is disgusting. Nobody's hustling back. Everybody's getting blown by, getting beat off the dribble. Nobody's covering behind the 3-point line to defend the shot. Max Christie out shooting you out the fucking game. Like, that's disgusting. How many wide open threes did we give up tonight? Nasty, absolutely nasty, because there's no effort. And that's a team thing. It's not just a player thing, it's a team thing. It's a team thing, and it's no excuse for it. I don't care what anybody says. It's no excuse for it. You're better than that. You're better than that. Mike Brown has a lot of things for this team to overcome. And until they overcome it, we're not going to see the full potential on this team. We're not. The Knicks are closer to sliding down into a play-in spot than getting a number 1 spot for the Eastern Conference. That's how bad it is right now. And they got to play with urgency. They got to play with some emotion. They got to play like they fucking want it, because right now that's not what they're doing. That energy that you showed in the fourth quarter, that should have been like that the entire game. From all 3 quarters, from the first to the third quarter, this team looked absolutely dead. Stupid turnovers, not going back on defense, not covering the man. It's like when they don't shoot and they don't make a shot, this team is just lifeless. And I honestly, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I really don't. So come Wednesday, when we play the Brooklyn Nets, who again are without their best player in Michael Porter Jr. Remember, the Brooklyn Nets were playing very well the last couple of games. Very well. Michael Porter, they've lost their last 3 games. I believe. Let me see. No. They're 1 they're 1-6 in their last 7. So they've been losing a lot. You gotta come against this Brooklyn Nets team at home, and you gotta fucking dominate. Give yourself some type of positive relief, please, for the love of Jesus. Because if you lose to this Brooklyn Nets team, which I don't even want to think about, right? Because you already did the unthinkable and you lost to a last place Sacramento Kings team. If you lose to this Brooklyn Nets team, all hell's gonna break fucking loose. They might burn down the Garden at this point. The Brooklyn Nets is a must win, and it must be a blowout win for this shit to be okay. That is 100% fact. I'm not even joking. Need all efforts on both ends. And then if you show some effort, if this game becomes one of those games where it's your best game of the year defensively or of the month, right? If that's what it is, you take that effort and go get some revenge against a team that's owned you this year in the 70 fucking Sixers. especially because you're playing them at their home now, so which is even harder because they've already bust your ass twice in the Garden. So please, for the love of God, come Wednesday prepared and ready to fucking blow the doors off of the Brooklyn Nets. Please. Because this shit is embarrassing. Honestly, it really is. It really is. It's pathetic. And it's everybody. It's coach. It's all the players. It's not just one single person. With that being said, yo, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure you guys follow me on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Top Bunk Sports. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Top Bunk Sports YouTube channel. I'll see you guys Wednesday with another post game video. I might do a live. I might do just a recording. I'm not really getting that much support on the live tonight, so I'll see how it goes. But with that being said, it's your guy David, and I will catch you guys